Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our weekly Q&A from the Family Support Department at the St. Louis ARC. I'm Sharon Spurlock. I'm going to be your host today, and we are very lucky to be joined by two of my long-term colleagues who oversee our Parents Learning Together program. And I think it's such an important service and one that we don't talk about very often. So I'm very excited for today's presentation. Without further ado, let's say hello to Kathy and Vanessa. Kathy, I'm going to start with you and have you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about your journey at the ARC. You are no newcomer here.
That's right, Sharon. Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Hayes. I am the program coordinator for the Parents Learning Together program at the St. Louis ARC. I started in the St. Louis ARC 29 years ago. I started as a family service specialist, and for about 25 years now, I've been the coordinator of the Parents Learning Together program.
Welcome. It's so great to have you here. And Vanessa, also a long-term employee who had a little bit of bouncing around in the job. Let's hear about your background.
I started with the ARC in 2013. I started with the summer programs, Neighborhood Experience and Teens in Motion. So I was a manager for that. And then I loved it so much, I stayed. I looked for a position. I was with community engagement, where I took our people out in the community and got them integrated with their own community. I did that for a while, and then I landed in a manager and training program, which led me to Parents Learning Together. That's when I found out about it. So I've been here at Parents Learning Together since 2018.
Well, Parents Learning Together support the choices and needs of parents with disabilities. And we got our start in 1988. The St. Louis ARC initiated Parents Learning Together program. We originally started with a small group of families, like 8. And then in 1998, the program grew to us serving 40 parents annually. PLT was able to establish a wait list during that time. And in 2015, we instituted the Nurturing Parenting curriculum. And then in 2022, we moved to our current location, which is at Delmar Devine, where we have the opportunity to support our families with additional resources. The St. Louis ARC empowers people with intellectual disabilities and their families to lead better lives and to provide a lifetime of high quality services and family support and advocacy. There's 3 areas that we provide support in: children and family supports, community support, and comprehensive services. So PLT comes under the children and family supports. Today, as we look at PLT, we provide support to St. Louis City families. We're currently providing support to 43 families and 99 children. We're funded through the St. Louis Office for Developmental Disability Resources. That's our primary funder. We also receive funding from United Way, St. Louis Unitarian Foundation, and the Department of Mental Health. Who do we support? We support parents who are 17 years old or older. The parent also has to have an intellectual or developmental disability, and they have to have a child in their home between the age of birth and 21 years old.
So for the program description, we provide support in the home and also group-based. So we do weekly individual and group-based learning. We also have weekly home visits or community-based. So a weekly visit could either be in the home or in a community-based, like a doctor's appointment. So our goal is 100% of our children maintain their health and wellness. 100% of school-age children attend school on a regular basis, and 80% of our parents increase their knowledge in 2 of the 6 target areas. And we'll go over that a little later.
So there are 6 basic project outcomes that we teach and support our families with. We support them with medical and healthcare for their children. We support them with growth and development of their children. We discuss child safety, positive discipline and behavior management. We also help them to develop natural support in the community. And we talk about family plannings and contraceptives. How are parents referred to us? We get referrals through a lot of different agencies, like St. Louis Regional Center, Department of Mental Health, DDR, Nurses for Newborn, from hospitals and Our Lady's Inn. So we partner with a lot of different agencies who refer families to us. Families have the opportunity to stay in the program between 3 and 5 years, but ultimately we want them to achieve all their outcomes. So sometimes they have the opportunity to stay longer than that. The program takes place in their home as well as the community. Each parent can receive from 2.5 to 3 hours of home visits. And that could be in their home or in the community. And they also attend a full-day group session twice a week on Wednesdays and Fridays.
So a typical week in PLT, we do see our families, like Ms. Kathy said, 2.5 to 3 hours, sometimes a little bit more, depending on what our families need. I feel like Parents Learning Together is a holistic approach to parenting. So Monday might be just a home visit where we're focusing on one of their identified goals. Tuesday, we might be assisting a parent in the community to a dental appointment, doctor's appointment, whatever it is they need. Sometimes we can go into the home and we might have a plan to do something else like positive discipline. And then we have to take them to the food pantry because they have food insecurity. So we do school visits, we do IEPs. Wednesday, we do group learning. So we bring them all together. We provide transportation and we do feed them on that day. So we have a whole day full of activities for the families. We do, we talk about everything. On Thursday, another community-based, depends on what the family needs. And then Friday, we have group session again. So the families have lots of opportunities to practice on their goals, the things that they have learned in group settings and individual home visits in order to practice on their goals and meet them.
So what makes PLT unique? One is that we focus on adults with intellectual or developmental disabilities who are parenting their own children. We also provide support in the home and group meetings and in the community. We offer long-term support. And we survey our parents annually to determine if we need to make adjustments in our program or how they are satisfied with the service that they're receiving. And the main thing that makes us unique is that we help families stay together. That is our ultimate goal. So if you have any more information, we just have on the screen contact information for myself, Kathy Hayes, as well as Dana Walker, who is the Director of Children's Services.
That was a great overview. While you're closing your screen, I'll just say, I think this is a real hidden population. I don't think people think about parenting when you have a disability all the time. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask is, why do you think your program is critical to these kind of hidden families? And why can't they be successful in a typical parenting program, or maybe why your program would meet needs in a different way?
Our program is critical because we help parents effectively raise their children. Parents are provided with skills and resources and support that helps them to live healthier and safer lives. Parents are supported with educational needs for their children as well as medical needs. They learn how to advocate for their children. They have the opportunity to participate in their community and learn about resources that can benefit their families. They feel less isolated because they're able to come to group sessions and they're able to form friendships and socialize with other parents like themselves. And we're unique in that most parenting programs last maybe 6 weeks or 6 months, and we're a long-term program. Families are able to receive services up to 5 years or more. We're a more intense program. Our families can receive up to 6 hours of parenting If they attend our group sessions, which are 4 hours, and then they receive in-home and community support, which is 2.5 to 3 hours.
I think we find that the case a lot with people with disabilities. They just need a little bit more time to build those skill sets. So that makes total sense. We had a question from our audience. You had shown the typical schedule of our PLT week. Do you ever support families on weekends?
We typically would support a family on the weekend if there's an emergency, yes.
Okay.
But mostly it's through the weekday.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's scheduling can be tricky, and yeah, it's nice that you've got that long-term relationship with people. I think that's exciting. I'm going to throw a trick question in here for you to let us know. I'm just curious, since you've been around since 1988, that was quite a while ago. Have you been able to catch up with any of the families that have graduated from your programs and kind of seen the long-term outcomes of what they received from PLT?
It's been a few years ago. We have ran into some of our parents in the community at grocery stores. It's amazing that they recognize us more so than sometimes we recognize them. And we found that they're doing quite well. Those that we've spoken with are doing quite well. And a lot of times it's the kids. The kids are now grown, they're older, but they recognize who we are, and they may be on a job or working at a restaurant, and they're doing quite well.
I think that's a really great secondary outcome. You know, the program is designed for parenting, but the results of good parenting are great kids that feel healthy and confident. And so it's neat to hear stories about running into adult children that are thriving, and sometimes that doesn't happen. So I want to talk a little bit about the components of your curriculum, since that's a little bit of a newer piece of it. And maybe Vanessa, you can jump in and talk about this a little bit. Can you tell us about like maybe an activity you would do to work through a particular part of one of the 6 pillars of the program?
One of the things that we talk a lot about is medical and health, ensuring that parents take their children to their scheduled appointments, and not only taking them, but understanding and asking questions at doctor's visits. We talk a lot about there are no silly questions you ask, and a lot of times during my visit, I'll model for the parents. So I'll say something like, "Can you please explain that to me?" or "Can you please write that down?" And so that has helped a lot of my families advocate for themselves medically, and even in school. So it kind of, those skills transfer in different areas.
That's a great example. And, I'm thinking about a fun fact. You guys may or may not remember this, but I provided support to a PLT family a long time ago when we were doing a little pilot project. And one of the things that really struck me was how, I don't know what the right word is, how many different factors impacted whether that family was going to be successful or not. They had issues related to disability, but they also had lots of issues related to being poor and being in situations where they had to go through a whole lot of steps to access resources. And they had people that, didn't think they could do anything or underestimated them. So they also had to deal with kind of societal judgments. And I thought it was just so complex trying to support them across all those areas. I know one of the things that you all kind of specialize in is having connections in the community to help people get all those other things they need that may or may not have to do with their disability, and may have to do with them having a health issue or being poor because they're trying, they're having access to Medicaid benefits or whatever. So how does that play out as far as you connecting people to other things? What do you see as key relationships?
So when we're looking at relationships and trying to get our families engaged, just being there to support them. We're talking about things that's going on in the home. So for example, mental health. Right now after COVID, mental health is skyrocketed and people need support. So sometimes because we have this long-term relationship, they trust us in taking them, because I'm good. I love collaboration. I'm just a fan of collaborating with other people. So I'm always out there. So I said, well, I know this person at Hopewell, let's go ahead and make an appointment for you or the children. I'll go with you. I'm always there. I'm my parents' biggest cheerleader. And I'm going to be there from the beginning to the end. I go to appointments with them if they need to, whether it's therapy appointments with the children. And because we become so close, they want us there. They call us to ask questions. But for example, I'm going to go back to the doctor's visit. Sometimes we go in and the doctors are talking to us. So I practice with my parents. I'm like, you know your children. I don't know your children. You know your children. So when the doctor asks a question, I'll look at her and like, you answer that, those are your children. But these are the things that we build up to support them so they can be in the community. And because we have established such a good reputation with our program, agencies that I come in contact with, or we come in contact with us, they end up calling us for referrals for other people. So it's a lot. That's how I work. That's how we.
Yeah, Kathy, you might want to jump in on this one because I think it's a big topic. I think it's interesting to talk about mental health because we've done a lot of outreach in my department, and so many times our community mental health centers shy away from serving people with intellectual disabilities. Are there community places, health centers, mental health centers, food pantries that you all have helped them to understand how to best serve all their customers, including people with disabilities?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We support our parents at pantries, at the hospitals for medical appointments. Oftentimes, as Vanessa said, the parents don't understand the language of the doctors, the words spoken. So we help them the doctors to understand the need to break down the information that they're trying to share with them. The same with IEPs. When we attend IEP meetings with them, we help the teachers and the team to understand that in order for the parent to understand, you're going to have to break down the information and make it more clear for them. So yeah, we support them in all those areas. We collaborate a lot with a lot of different agencies, including Nurses for Newborn, and we've collaborated with
Horizon Housing, Diaper Bank, Raising St. Louis. We got referrals from them. Epworth Children and Family Services, the Pius Counseling and Group. People's Health Clinic is huge. We're in there a lot. Let's see, Turning the Page, Navigate St. Louis Schools, HealthWorks. A lot of agencies.
You mentioned Turning the Page, and I know they're a neighbor now that you're in the Del Mar Divine. Can you guys talk about that space and what it is, and maybe what you see as opportunities for your program?
So Del Mar Divine was designed for agencies who are non-for-profit agencies. And the purpose was for us to come together and be able to support each other with the services that we provide. So we're able to provide additional resources for our parents, like Turning the Page and Generated Health and The Seed. All of these different agencies have something to offer our parents. And so we're just excited to be here in close proximity, so we can just go and knock on the door and say, hey, can you help us out with this challenge that we're having? And vice versa, they can come to us as well. So yeah, we're really enjoying the space that we are in down here, and we're looking forward to just meeting more of the agencies that are down here.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool collaborative to have all those social services agencies under one roof. So I think it's going to offer nothing but new opportunities for you. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about two things. One is I know that your team was really the first ones to implement the Parent Cafe model. So I'm asking this kind of out of the blue, but can you talk a little bit about what Parent Cafe is and maybe the impact that's had on your families feeling like they can learn from each other or speak up?
Well, the Parent Cafe, it kind of empowers the parents to take the initiative and take charge of their life and what they want to do in their life. So when we have those Parent Cafes, the parents are able to just express themselves openly among themselves. They can say whatever's on their mind. They can share resources with each other. They can share ideas with each other. And it's a way of really kind of empowering each other when we have those parent cafes. They really enjoy them. The staff don't say anything. We just kind of guide the conversation, but we allow everyone to express their own opinions and share their own thoughts based on the questions that we share with them. The questions are usually based on being resilient. How are you resilient in this area? How do you, it's questions based on child growth and development. So how would you respond to this situation? And everyone gives their own response. And it's really great because they're able to really just bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah, we were so impressed with what was happening with you all that we offer parent cafes in collaboration, family support, and the Capable Kids and Families programs. And it's such a cool model for parents to have time to talk about parenting with other people that are in that same position. And I love the fact that your parents were trained to take a leadership role in that. I think that's something to be so proud of. So one thing that I think people ask me most often about your program is, do all the kids have disabilities if the parents have disabilities? What's the statistics there?
So all the parents have to have a disability in order to be enrolled in our program, but the children do not. So I would say currently we probably have maybe 1/4 of the children in our program have a disability, but the majority do not have a disability.
And I could say this too, some of the kids that they have disabilities, we were able to help the parent identify some concerns and get them the support they needed. So quite a few parents and their children got, during our participation, they got what they needed.
That's so important because we know early identification is a key to getting those early childhood supports. So I think it's interesting that there's just really, it's kind of the typical percentage that anybody might have with a disability, but then for us to be able to help identify them, that's a really great side benefit of parents learning together, I guess. So I think as people listen to this, they might be excited about this program and what you're offering to people in our community. Are there any ways to volunteer or give back to the parenting program?
Sure, they could volunteer anytime they want. We have a couple of very exciting opportunities with our annual picnic. We've had volunteers come out and help with the children and the activities. We've also have a parent award luncheon where parents are able to receive certificates for the progress that they've made. And we have volunteers come out and watch the kids while the parents are able to just have a little private time and be recognized for their accomplishments.
All right, well, that is all the questions that I've got right now. I'm gonna wrap up with you guys sharing some of your favorite success stories or anything you wish that I would have asked you that you want to kind of reiterate to our audience. But what's something you want to share about parents learning together? And I'll start with you, Vanessa, and then we'll wrap up with Kathy.
One of the things that I absolutely enjoy, and I know this program works, is because I'm one of the newest ones here. And I had a parent, she had 3-month-old twins and her first children. And there was a lot of things to work on, but I'm so excited when I talk about her because even in the 4 years she got her children assessed for some delays. They were diagnosed with autism. She got them in school. She wanted to homeschool them. We talked about that. She got them in school. They're doing well, leaps and bounds, where they use different ways to communicate by screaming and all these things. They're saying things. They're saying sentences. They're talking. They're singing. They're doing awesome in school. And now mom is in college. So it's amazing when I look back of where we started and where we are now. And she is a success story all day, all night. We're still working on her goals, but those things, our parents love their children and they're going to do whatever they need to do to make sure that their children are taken care of. And one of the things I hear a lot is, I want to do better than what I learned. I want to be a good parent. I'm like, you are a good parent. We're going to work on some things. And so, yeah.
You know what I love about that story? I think a lot of times people start to make decisions because they think it's what they're supposed to do, like homeschooling, being nervous about how the school system's going to work for your family. And I think having a support person from PLT to say, let's take a breath here and talk through what your options are. I think every parent needs that. And so many times they don't get it. So I love that piece of that story that we're able to give people permission to step back and think about, well, that is one option. What are the other things that you could do here? And what's the impact going to be if you keep them at home? So cool story. Kathy, how about you?
Like Vanessa, we have a parent who's a single parent, and she's been doing such a wonderful job for advocating for her children in school. A couple of her children needed IEPs, and this was during the pandemic, and she kept at it, and she kept advocating and advocating until she made sure her children received IEPs, even though it required being on Zoom because we couldn't meet in person, but she kept doing it. She kept going at it, and the teachers really listened to her, and they put the IEP in place, and she's just really excited now that her children are getting their educational needs met.
That's cool. You know, I said it was going to be the last question, but we've got a couple minutes. So I want to go back and ask about, I don't know, COVID and shutdown and technology. You already talked about mental health, and we hear so much about technology divides in our community. What was challenging for your families when they were stuck at home? How did you help to support them to figure out some of these technology hurdles?
One of the challenges was they were trying to do the Chrome, the books that the schools would send home. Some of our families struggled, so we helped them with that. You know, we did a lot of video chatting. We talked to the schools with them. We did a lot of conference calls. Even Kathy and I, you know, one person was struggling with technology on her phone. So we went over there, we masked up, we had everything that we needed. And Miss Kathy, you know, did program her phone so she can do Zoom. We delivered them activities, like creative activities. We would deliver them at home, and then we get on Zoom for our groups, and we would do, you know, an activity together. So we sent them food. We've done a lot of stuff to make sure our families were okay. We did see an increase in phone calls and video chats because they needed that support. They were home with their kids all that time. Everybody was stir crazy. So we were always trying to figure out what can we do to make their time with us better. You know, what do you need? So it was a lot of us just being there.
Yeah, we experienced that with our parent cafes. We didn't think anybody was going to attend virtually, and they were desperate to talk to each other and have that connection online. So yeah, I think we just forget how if you can provide this little bit of resource, you can give people support, you can give people knowledge, you can connect them to the resources that they have eligibility for, but maybe just don't know about or can't get to. So so excited to have you both here today, and so proud that we offer this program. So thank you so much for your time. If you guys want to talk to Kathy or Vanessa, just let us know, reach out. You can contact us at the ARC, or you can speak to Kathy directly at chayes@slark.org. So go out, have a great week. Thank you so much for joining us today, and be safe. Thanks, Kathy, and thanks, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.